Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Giesbrecht. Today I'm at the district office doing a training, but here is still a lesson for you on one-step equations involving multiplication and division. Yesterday we covered addition and subtraction, so today we're doing the other two operations for our one-step equations. So please go ahead, grab your notes in your notebook, write down your essential question. If at any time I'm going too fast, feel free to pause this recording and then press play to resume. Please do not have out the textbook until it's time to start your classwork, so that way we know that you're totally focused on notes today. So I have a couple examples for you, and here we go. Our essential question is, how do you solve a one-step equation involving multiplication and division? Example A. So today I'm going to label all of my examples with letters. That way once you get to your classwork, it looks separated from your numbered textbook. So let's read example A together. It says 2x equals 10. Now if we read that a different way, what this is really saying right here is 2 times x equals 10. There's really a multiplication sign in between those two. Let's think about on an equation mat real fast what that would look like. So this would be where we had 2x's on top, and then we had 10 to the side. But whenever we were solving, I was always asking you, what does x equal, not what does 2x equal. So we would always break it into pieces, divide it into groups, so that I could say that each individual x went with 5 tiles. So let's talk about algebraically now. Without our mats, how are we going to solve that? When I see this multiplication sign here, we are going to do the opposite of what we see. So it's just like yesterday. If we saw an addition, we would subtract. If we saw a subtraction, we would add. So today, if we see a multiply, the way we're going to get x by itself is to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. Which again makes sense because think about what our mat did. We took each x and we are dividing it into its individual group. We're dividing into 2 groups. So here we're dividing into 2 groups. Your 2 and your 2 cancel. Well, actually they divide out and become a 1. So we're left with x equals 5. Let's plug in our answer to make sure that it makes sense. So back in the beginning, does 2 times 5 equal 10? Yes, it does. So I know for a fact that I have the right answer. Let's try another example. Example B. If I am writing, you are writing, so everyone should be writing each of these examples in your notebook. Example B says negative 2 times x equals 8. Negative 2 times x equals 8. I just want you to watch. Don't write this part down because I'm going to do something incorrectly and then we'll fix it. So if I just divide both sides by 2 and my 2 divided by 2 becomes a 1, look what I have left. I have left a negative and an x. That's not what I want to have left over. By the time I'm done, I just want to have a plain old x left over. We learned how to fix that yesterday, but there's an easier way to start this problem. So let's kind of back it up just for a minute. If it's negative 2 times x, whatever it's multiplied by, we're going to divide by. So I'm going to divide each side by negative 2. A negative divided by a negative becomes a positive, which is exactly what we want. So I'm left with x equals, and 8 divided by negative 2 gives us negative 4. So it's much easier for us if whatever it's multiplied by, we divide by that same thing. So if it's a negative, I'm going to divide by a negative. That way those negatives are going to cancel out. They divide out to become a plain old 1. Let's check my answer to make sure that I'm correct. Is negative 2 times negative 4 a positive 8? Yes, it is. So I know I did a great job. Example C. This one, sometimes in our book or on a test, they might write it sideways like this, but in your notes, I'd like you to write it up and down. So please write x divided by 4 equals 10 in your notes with the x on top and the 4 on the bottom. Again, our goal is to get the variable by itself. So right now, if this says divide by 4, think in your head, what's the opposite of dividing by 4? Hopefully you are saying multiply by 4. Whatever you do to one side, we do to the other side. So on the left, when I have a 4 on top and a 4 on the bottom, you can think of this as 4 over 1 if you want to. The 4's divide out to become a 1. So on the left side, I'm left with x, and on the right side, I get 40. Let's check our answer. Is 40 divided by 4 10? Yes. So I know I did a perfect job. That's my solution. Now it's your turn. So for example D, I'd like for you to solve on your paper and write down your answer. When you're ready, you can unpause the recording and I will show you your steps. Sorry, this got kind of wacky here. So here's your original problem. 6x equals negative 24. So go ahead and pause, and when you're ready, you can resume the recording. So if it says 6 times x, I'm going to divide both sides by 6. This is the step I should be seeing on your paper. 6 divides by 6 and just leaves me with the 1x. Negative divided by a positive gives me a negative. So the correct answer was B, negative 4. Now we're going to jump into a new kind of question that's going to involve friends. So our new problem says solve 2/3 x equals 10. I'm going to write it a little bigger here off to the side. Now, fractions, we can actually get rid of them in one step using something we've been practicing on Mondays for our daily number. The way we get rid of a fraction that's touching my variable is by multiplying by the reciprocal. Remember, we keep practicing reciprocal. It is where we flip our fraction upside down. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other side. So on the left side, if I'm thinking straight across the top, straight across the bottom, I get 6 divided by 6, which just is a 1, which just leaves me x. Or some of you are used to canceling numbers out. So this gives me x equals, the 10 we can put a 1 underneath it. Let's go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. And 30 divided by 2 is 15. So my answer is 15. Let's try that again. This time I'm going to throw another fraction at you, but I'm going to add a negative somewhere in there. Okay, again, sorry, this one got kind of wacky here. Let's rewrite it. Okay, there will be 2 more examples, example F and then example G. So when I come back on Wednesday, I'm going to ask to see your notes, and I should see A through G in your notes for Tuesday's lesson. So this one's just a little bit different because this time it's a negative 2/3. When we take the reciprocal, just watch this step, you don't need to write right now. If all I did was the 3/2 on both sides, times by 3/2, I would get negative 6, if I go straight across the top, negative 6 divided by 6. That would leave me with a negative x. I don't want that. I always want a positive x. So let's think of what I really wanted to multiply by. Whenever we flip a fraction upside down, if it's positive, it stays positive. If it's negative, it should stay negative. So really what I want us multiplying by on both sides is a negative 3/2. Watch what will happen. A negative times a negative gives us a positive. 6 divided by 6 turns into a 1. So all of these numbers go away, leaving me with x. Now on the right hand side, students oftentimes will ask me, Mrs. G, does this negative sign go on the top? Does it go on the bottom? Does it go out in front? It doesn't matter actually. It will give you the same answer no matter what. So let's put the 10/1 and let's go straight across the top, straight across the bottom. And again, 30 divided by 2 will give us a 15. And since there was one negative, my answer is negative. So it didn't matter if we wanted to have that negative on the top, on the bottom, or out in front. We would get the same answer. I have one last problem for you today. This is letter G. So this one I'd like for you to try on your own. You can press pause and then resume when you're ready. So please show all steps on your paper and press resume once you're ready for the answer. So for this one, again, it is a negative. So I'm going to flip it upside down, take the reciprocal, which is negative 3 over 2. Again, a negative times a negative is a positive, so these two negatives will cancel each other out. They go away. And across the top, I get 6 divided by 6, which is a 1. That's what I want. I'm just left with my m, or 1m. 1m is the same thing. Now on the right-hand side, if we put a 1 underneath our 3, I get negative 9 over 2. It's just a fraction. No big deal. Fractions are answers too. So for the rest of the day, you guys are going to complete the clock assignment that is on the board. You're going to do your classwork, which is out of your algebra book. The white one with the basketballs on it. Please take note of the questions that I'm having you skip today. So if you look on the whiteboard, it does ask you to skip a few questions. Then your homework is your Puddle Puzzler worksheet. Puddle Puzzler worksheet. This is on the back of last night's homework. So you guys already have that worksheet. You corrected it at the beginning of class. So it's the back of last night's homework. I had a picture of it in here, but the picture disappeared. Gotta love technology. So as you guys are completing the worksheet, what do I want to see? Yes, show your work. Where? I know there's not a lot of space on the worksheet. You guys can try and squeeze it in underneath the problem itself, or you could attach a separate piece of paper, or you could write in the margins of that paper. Pretty much wherever you can show your work, I want you to. Wherever you have space, you're going to make it fit. So if one of them looks like this, yes, I want you circling the variable, showing me your one step, and we get our x equals 46. So just like we practiced in class, yes, you have to show your work. And please make sure no one is working on their worksheet until you are done with your classwork. So everyone should be getting their books out right now and working on the classwork assignment. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Remember, if you get an A from the sub, then I will give you pink tickets tomorrow. And make sure you are definitely a B or better so we can get the iPad cart back next week. Thanks, guys. See you on Wednesday.